Hey, welcome back. Another day, another vlog. How are we all, people? Another day, Monday, the worst probably day of the week for everyone. Been a good and a bad day for some. First of all, probably go into a bit of an update on the fires. Obviously, it's pretty well recorded and documented at the moment, but there has been a little bit of rain today, which is a little bit of respite for the guys working on it, which is good. Gives them a chance to prep areas that are of concern for when the hot days come back, when that rain stops. Don't think that just the rain coming is going to be a full-blown reprieve. It's only light rain from what the reports I watched on, so it seems like it's just a little bit of a brief slowdown. If those hot days and those winds come back, that water will pretty much dry up, evaporate pretty quick. So they're trying to get out there and prepare, I guess, for the next wave, which is very smart, obviously. That's what the fireys are trained to do. So yeah, hopefully they can get a fair bit done while this little respite in the fire is happening, so they can stop a little bit of anguish down the road. Good news is the Navy's rocked up with a heap of resources, hopefully a heap of people as well to help out. That seems to be what the fireys are all saying. They need more people to help out. They don't need cheers and thanks and stuff like that. They need people on the ground. It's probably the hardest thing to try and logistically manage to get people to every area, because the areas are just, the spaces we're talking about are just monstrous. There was a good thing, I think, someone had on Facebook, had a little bit of a map of the fires over Great Britain, and it basically covered 80% of Great Britain. That's how big the fire range is. It's a good idea. It gives you a bit more of an example, because Australia's so big and where sort of the population's on the coastline. There's not a lot on the inside of Australia. That area is very easily forgotten about, but it's massive, and that's where the fires start and they spread and then they attack where the people live, and by then it's too much. So a better day for the fireys and for the guys in New South Wales, at least. A little bit of rain. There looks to be a cyclone in the northwest of WA, which should hopefully give some assistance on the WA front. Hopefully we can get some rain across the other side of the Australia, the north of Queensland, that to come down and just keep going. There was I did see an article, there was some sort of trough or weather phenomenon which was basically holding back the monsoon. The monsoon is what I grew up with every 2 weeks. Basically, on this monsoon would come in to absolutely drench the north of Australia, or at least Darwin anyway, from my personal experience, and we'd just get saturated with inches upon inches upon inches of rain. You get, on average, we used to get like 10, 20 inches in a day. It wasn't just another day for us. So that's that monsoon. It's just like a massive big rainstorm or thunderstorm trough that it comes through and just unloads all this water on the north of Australia. So, and this phenomenon was, for some reason, was holding back that monsoon trough. That seems to have disappeared. So now they're saying that the monsoon trough might come through. So we're looking at January, February, might finally get some rain, and already straight after it's gone, we've got a possible low depression above Port Hedland and that. So that's really awesome to see. As much as cyclones, again, are not the most funnest thing, and they can be just as damaging as a fire. At the moment, I think everyone would be happy to get a shit ton of rain and wind over all the fires and the heat. So yeah, at least it looks like there's a little bit of a chance there to give the guys a bit of a break, and we can see a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. That's what they're sort of seeing out of today. So a little bit better. So yeah, might give the boys that are working their asses off over there a chance to just sit down and have a breather, have a feed, and maybe get some sleep. I guess that's the other thing that's probably smashing all these guys too. They're all probably haven't stopped working for 3 or 4 days at a time, so it'd be good to get them, just get some rest so they can recoup and get ready for the next onslaught. So yeah, a better day. Also on the fires, it was good to see they had the Golden Globes. Obviously, there's a fair few Australians, directors, actors, and stuff like that in there. We talked last night about Pink donating. Leonardo DiCaprio was on Instagram today, pushing for donations as well, and a heap of them. The guys that won awards, including Ellen, Ricky Gervais, all pushing to get donations sent through. So that was pretty good to see, and much appreciated. Some American firefighters rocked up to Australia as well today, along with some New Zealand guys as well, so that's awesome. It's great to know that, I guess that what we do for other countries, I guess, comes back in kind, and that's the way it should work. When you help someone, you'd hope that when you're in trouble, you go to help them out. It's what Australia's always been sort of good at, and we've always been good at helping other countries, and I totally with that, and that I think that's a great idea. And then it's like karma, I guess. You give what you get, and it looks like we're getting a little bit back from all the good karma we've given over the many years. So that's awesome to see. Hopefully we can prevent too much more loss of life. There was unfortunately an elderly gentleman found today, passed away, 71, in New South Wales. So that was again another tragedy, poor fella, and his family will be heartbroken. So and I'm sure we're going to hear in the next couple of weeks just a ton of terrible stories about terrible things. But today at least was a little bit of a positive, I guess, if you look at it that way. So anyway, that's the update on that one. 7-Eleven in Japan. 7-Eleven is a well-known thing, I guess, in Australia. It's been around for a long time. Probably what you don't know, it's 100 years old this year. It was founded in 1920, so this year's 100th anniversary. It's actually owned by a Japanese company because they are probably the biggest 7-Eleven store owners on the planet, actually. I think they said it started in Texas, and then it's sort of spread, and Japan ended up taking over it. They bought it out. They bought the rights to it. A Japanese store owner, when you look at it actually, just give some basic figures, what the boys talked about on a little later. There's something like 55,000 convenience stores in Japan. 40% of those are 7-Eleven. So that's a friggin' lot of stores. So you can see it's probably their number one convenience store, and they treat it a different way than we do. Again, Japan, they do a lot of things. They're very supportive and they're very traditional, and they do the same things, and yeah. So I sort of understand that side of them, and they'd be a different store than the CD 7-Eleven you go to for a water or a pie at 4 in the morning after a big night out. Here in Australia, well, they're a totally different sort of a creature over there. Now, there was a Japanese store owner asked to shut down the shop on New Year's Day. Got told by management, from 7-Eleven management, no, that's not going to be happening, we don't shut. Unfortunately, he had no one to man the store. His backup workers, he couldn't get any more, he couldn't hire any, there's a shortage of labour there. His wife had passed away, she was the other backup person. So this guy hasn't had a day off in months upon months, poor fella, and basically got told either open, or I think they were going to basically take his license off him. So it's a very interesting sort of story. You wouldn't think that it would go that far, that the owner of the shop would have some sort of say on what he can and can't do, if he can open or not. Obviously, in the 7-Eleven contracts over there, they're a little bit more stricter, and they regard the rules a little bit more highly, and obviously a lot more harsher with their penalties. So, yeah, something different. 7-Eleven, wow. But anyway, hopefully he found someone to fill in for him. You just take all the stock off the shelves and just let everyone walk through, I guess. Or just sleep in the front door. Poor fella. All that for a slushie. Probably don't even have slushies there, I'm not sure. I didn't go to one when I was in Japan. I'm not sure. I went to a KFC in Japan, and it was the best KFC I've ever had in my life. Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Best KFC ever, Japan, if you ever go. If you don't eat seafood like me, if you're in Japan, then you definitely try the junk food shops, and that was the best junk food I've ever had, without a doubt. Rightio. Now, we'll go into tech stuff. X Dynamics, a bit of drone news. X Dynamics Evolve 2. If you've seen the Evolve 1, it was a full carbon fibre, fixed arm sort of a deal. Pretty expensive, up around the Mavic 2 sort of prices. So a big dollar item. It didn't really take off. The Mavic just had the better technology, I think. It could fold the legs, a little bit more portable and stuff like that. It was a really good looking drone, but just didn't take off. It didn't have all the things. Well, they've come out swinging for their Evolve 2. They've just announced all the specs at CES this week. Said we're going to get a heap this week, and it seems like it's starting to trickle through now. Huge news on the drone world for this, for the camera guys, I guess. We talked about the Skydio with its tracking ability. Well, the Mavic 2 is more of a, like, to get your footage and stuff like that, or just to fly a drone. Well, this is in that department, this X Dynamics, so it's up against a Mavic 2. It's not going to be against a Skydio. This thing is going to be a bit of a beast in the camera department. 4K, 120 frames a second. They're saying this is just reported what they've thrown out at the CES. So we'll check this when it actually releases. The biggest thing on it is going to be it's going to have a micro 4/3 sensor. So same as your Panasonic cameras, the micro 4/3. They have some amazing quality in these micro 4/3 sensors. The options now are huge. It's a removable lens, so you can add your own lens depending on, I guess, weight and what the lens manufacturers start looking at. If they can do it with that sensor, that opens up a huge myriad of options. Can we now see Sigma, Tamron and that start making drone lenses as well? That's what I'd like to see, especially if you're going to use these things for footage. You really need a good quality and a good image out of them. That's the main thing. Obviously, getting the view and all that's fantastic, but if it's a terrible image, you can't really use it. So having that micro 4/3 sensor is just a monster deal. A removal lens will be really good. Now, this is a sort of a tricky one. I sort of struggled a bit understanding. They're saying possibly 11 k's of range, so that's like pretty ridiculous. Obviously, in Australia, the rules you have to have line of sight, so you can't see 11 k. So I don't know how that's going to work. Obviously, it's just a maximum variance. They're giving you maximum specs to say what they can and can't do. It's got a 6K standard range. That's equivalent of basically what the Mavic 2 can do now. We know they can do that. We've seen videos in countries where you can just take them and just send them off into the abyss and bring them back, that they will go 6Ks with the extended aerials, and that's what you need to get the 11Ks. If you screw on the extendable aerials, those boosters, well then they reckon you can go from 6Ks out to 11Ks. Again, I don't really know what you need it for. Maybe if you... the one thing I could think of for the guys on the cattle farms, if they need to go out and do a check where the cattle are and do a bit of a roundup, they could send out a drone and see where they are in what area before they head off that way. 11 k's is a big distance to cover by car or by horseback, and they can possibly go out and do runs and just check what's going on around their field. So that was probably a good reason for the 11 k's, and they'd have access to be able to go do that there, so that's probably a good thing. A dual screen controller, 1000 nits of brightness, so they've upped the brightness on the displays, which is really good. Dual screen controllers, awesome. It's pretty heavy, it's 1.9 kilos. Now just remember that, it's 1.9 kilos, but it's all carbon fiber. So it's a big unit, and it's got that big camera unit on it. So that's going to be, it is actually a big drone. if you look at it against someone and actually stand there holding it, it's actually bigger than what you think. So it's not something you can just fold up and take on a holiday. It's going to be basically for the semi-pro guys, I guess, or guys that are just doing a lot of footage or right into their drones. Flight time, they're predicting 33 minutes. If it's around the 30-minute mark, I think that'll be good for them. It's got 13-inch props on it, so that's pretty massive props. That's coming there, so you can imagine the size. Just put that in perspective for your size of the machine. When it's got 4 props spinning at 13 inches around about, yay, one there, one there, one there. This thing's a big unit. So if that gives you a bit more of an idea to imagine in your head. No geo on prices. I had a bit of a look. There's nothing on their website as such. This is all just come straight out of the CES, and no real mention on prices. So it'd be interesting to see on that one. Nothing. That's the first sort of tech out of CES that I've heard of. I did a big search today, and there was really nothing on there. I'd say either tomorrow we'll start seeing a bit of a trickle out, and it'll start flowing out, and the boys will be punching out the videos. The big guys in the States will have teams sitting at CES doing this stuff, so there's plenty to come. Don't worry about that. So that was pretty cool. I think that big thing is that micro four thirds sensor. The big thing with the Mavic 2 was that 1-inch sensor with the Hasselblad collab with them. That 1-inch sensor gave out a lot better, clearer footage. You know, it'll pick up more light, better for low light and stuff like that. To have a micro four thirds sensor, that's amazing. There's some fantastic cameras like the GH5 and stuff. All the Panasonic range have a micro four third, and they do really great photos. And I'm sure the video will be really good with a sensor of that size. So that's a huge thing out of it. It's probably the biggest part of the whole deal. And the rest of the range doesn't really matter too much. Most countries you can't go out of line of sight anyway. No one can see 11 kilometers away. You'd be lucky if you can see a kilometre away, so basically, yeah, that's probably the limit of anything. So the range doesn't really matter too much. It's very rare that you'd have to go that way, but the cattle stations and stuff like that, I think farming guys, that would be a good option for them, so that's good to have that massive range in it. Yeah, so that was sort of the only sort of thing that came out of CES. Today I spent a bit of time, my beautiful PK Ripper, my dream BMX from a kid. Always dreamt of getting one. I've had one for a few years. I've got a limited edition Flowable Fire. I've teamed up again with Blocker Bearings this year for the next 12 months. They've come on as a partner for our fishing team, and also to do some stuff on the channel, so that's fantastic. We're going to be doing a video soon, a sponsorship video in a little bit. We're just teeing that up, so I'm going to be doing an upgrade on my bearings on my bike, so that I'm really looking forward to that. So I did a bit of just prelim work and checking size and stuff, and so I can get everything ordered for that. So yeah, big shout out to Blocker Bearings. That's awesome. Thanks for coming back on for the next 12 months for 2020. It's amazing to have you. They're great bunch of people. If you need any sort of fishing bearings, radio controlled, any sort of bearings they do. They make a super high quality product. I can definitely vouch for that. I've got them in all my fishing reels, and they work a treat, and I look forward to working with them in the next 12 months. So that was good news in the last week, and yeah, big shout out to them, and look forward to what we can achieve together. And then last not least, I don't know about you, sometimes I just like to sit there and just get a little bit geeked out on science. I guess that's the right word. It's sort of just, it's amazing what some of these scientists do and talk about, and stuff like quantum universes and all that quantum stuff. Sometimes it can just blow my mind, and I think sometimes it's good just to sit and go, wow, and just realise not how insignificant we are, but just how much is possible and how much we don't know, but how amazing this universe is. And a good channel to learn some stuff like that is, and to switch off, there's a young lady called the Physics Girl on YouTube. go check her channel out. She did a new one today on CERN in Switzerland. If you've heard of that, the big loop where they collide particles and all that stuff. The world's biggest science experiment. It's most expensive as well. They're talking about they've narrowed down the 30 particles that make up everything in the universe, which is, to me, that's just a massive thing. But apparently these particles actually aren't what make up the universe. Some quantum fields make up these particles that make up that make up everything. So yeah, just mind-blowing stuff. I think sometimes it's really fun just to sit there and watch these just genius people explain to you, and you just go, shit. Wow. Yeah, okay, righto. So it sort of, I guess, resets the brain and goes, okay, there's bigger issues out there, and there's some bigger things, and it's really not bigger things, it's all about smaller things. The smaller they go, the more, yeah, it's pretty wild. So yeah, something different. Again, every now and again I'll just chuck on and go full science, and it's pretty amazing what you can learn, and it'll probably 9 times out of 10 just blow your head clean off, but there's nothing wrong with feeling dumb. I'm sure 90% of us on the planet are dumb. There's probably only a few people that think they're actually smart as they probably are, so it's a good sort of reset the clock, I guess. But anyway, that's about it. Another day. So yeah, just starting to get that trickle through from CES. Look, if it's going to be a big week, I'm sure we'll get more tomorrow night. I've got to get ready to go back to work, so I should be able to get one in. Channel outside, I'll be back out of my shed because we've got Jack home. He'll be asleep. I get to see my little buddy tomorrow, so looking forward to that. Little champion, he's home from his Christmas holidays with Nana. He's had a ball over there. So yeah, looking forward to having my family home, and got one night with them and then back to work. So I'll see how I go. May or may not get something in, but if not, definitely Wednesday night once I get back to work. And that's about it. Another day. Monday's done. The week's 3/4 of the way done. 4 quarters. 1/5 of the way through. Well, let's call 1/5. It's a better way to look at it than just started. Anyways, that's it from me. Thanks for stopping by. Great to see you all again. The start of the working year for most people. Unfortunately, we're back in for another 12 months, but the best thing is there's only 12 months or 11 months and 11 and a half months to go before holidays again. Always good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Whether you're going out, coming home, or going to bed, I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao.